On today's program, a Seventh-day Adventist school in Dakar, Senegal, the Global Center for Adventist-Muslim Relations, and a church plant in China. All that and more coming up next, right here on Global Mission Snapshots.
Just before he went up to heaven, Jesus gave us a command. He gave us a mission. Jesus said, "Go. Go unto all the world, telling them of His love." This is our mission. This is our global mission.
Hello, I'm Gary Krause, and welcome to Global Mission Snapshots. Most of us naturally tend to get along best with people who are like us, share our view of the world, and think like us. It's easy to talk about snow to people who have seen snow, but how do you explain that fluffy, frozen white stuff to someone from the tropics? That's a simple illustration of the type of challenge the Global Mission Centers face as they work to help us build better bridges of understanding and witness to people from different religious backgrounds and worldviews. Today we'll be talking with Dr. Lester Merklin, Director of the Center for Adventist-Muslim Relations. We'll also visit Africa and China, but first up, let's visit Papua New Guinea in the South Pacific.
On this early morning, a mission pilot warms up his plane. He is preparing for the day. As he flies over some of the most remote jungles of Papua New Guinea, he prays for the great need in this region. The people here are in need of medical attention. As the pilot approaches a village, he knows that God is working here. In Mengino village, the Seventh-day Adventist Church has set up a small medical clinic. This clinic offers the people in the village medical attention. The people here constantly struggle with such things as malaria, broken bones, the flu, and pregnancies. For a majority of these people, this is the only access to medical care they will ever have. You can begin to see the importance of this service. People travel great distances on foot from other villages to the Mengino Clinic. Roy Lowley walked here with his parents from another village. They came in search of treatment for his mother, who was not feeling well. After trekking for hours through the jungle to get here, this family is very appreciative of the work being done and hopes for a clinic in their village someday.
We have privilege to have the SDA mission to come up here and then set this hospital so that all the people located around the bush places like here, we usually come and take the medicine here for our treatment, yes.
As the mission pilot prepares to leave, he sees firsthand the work that God is doing here. These clinics are an opportunity for the people in the village to see Jesus. The work here is plentiful, and the Mengino Clinic struggles to tend to the high demand of those seeking medical attention. The Mengino Clinic is just one example of the clinics throughout the South Pacific region. Other clinics in Papua New Guinea and the small island of Tanna face the same challenge every day. As you can see, this is a big challenge here. This quarter, a portion of your 13th Sabbath offering will go to help build remote medical clinics in areas where people are in great need. These clinics will help hundreds of people throughout the South Pacific region. Please pray for the work being done here, and thank you for your support of Mission.
It's my pleasure to welcome my friend and colleague, Dr. Lester Merklin, who heads up the Global Center for Adventist-Muslim Relations. Lester, thank you so much for joining us. Adventist-Muslim Relations, why do we need a center for this?
Actually, I would say that this center maybe is even more important than the other centers in the sense that the Muslim world is well known and a lot of times misunderstood by people because of some of the things that are happening in our current history.
Yeah, and from the media.
Right,
yeah.
And so people are a little afraid if they don't know a Muslim. They may seem to be a different culture. They may be in their own neighborhoods and people don't know quite what to do. So I think the center is very important to help Adventists realize, hey, these are people. These are, in most cases, spiritual people.
Yeah, now Lester, I remember reading a study, an academic study that was done a few years ago in North America and Europe, saying that most Muslims say, I don't even know one Christian. Is this your experience too?
Actually, yes and no. And the reason I say that is because, interestingly, which I find good, that more Muslims in America say that more Muslims in America say they know a Christian than do Hindus and Buddhists. Only about a third of the Muslims say they don't. So that's good.
Okay.
Now, hopefully, they know the right Christians
Yes.
that are living a faith and are spiritual people.
Yeah. Now, do you see within the Christian church that there's strong prejudice against Muslims? How do you see the situation?
There's no doubt. There no doubt is, and it just tears my heart as I look at some of the news blogs on the internet and then see people's comments. I wonder where do they get that kind of spirit. But as I go around the world, as I talk with Adventists, as I'm in churches, Christians, I actually find most Christians not having as negative a feeling. But there are some.
Yeah. Because we're all subject to the influence of the media and current events, and it's easy for stereotypes to prevail.
And what we don't know, we fear.
Yeah. Now, obviously, there are vast differences in the theology of a Seventh-day Adventist and a Muslim. We are different. That's why one person is a Muslim and one's an Adventist.
That's right.
However, there are commonalities where we can talk, right?
Oh, very, very much so.
Tell me about some of those.
Well, I think probably as Adventists, we even have an advantage over many of the other Christians because, well, we don't eat the unclean foods, which the Muslim is surprised when he first learns that.
How big an issue is that for a Muslim?
Oh, it's very big. Even a Muslim who may not be really following his beliefs in really going to the mosque 5 times a day to pray and maybe kind of lax in a secular Western culture, still pig is not on the table.
And so when they see Christians eating pigs, it raises question marks in their mind.
Well, they just figure that's what Christians do.
Okay.
And the first question to an Adventist is, oh, you're a Christian group, why are you not eating these
That's
things?
interesting, yeah. What other areas?
Well, the fact that both of us believe that the end of the world is coming, that there is a time of judgment, that we're on this earth in a state of away from God, and the time will come when the judgment will be, and God can save those that He can save, and those that have not chosen to follow Him will their life will end. And so those are things very much that two spiritual people, even if they have differences of details, can definitely share and enjoy their friendship together.
Within Islam, there is an expectation that Jesus will come a second time too. Can you describe the way the Muslims see that?
I could, but there's
But you don't want to.
No, there's differences.
Right.
And that's why I hesitate to say this is where they're at.
Okay, I understand.
The Quran itself there is not a detail.
It's ambiguous? Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say ambiguous. It's just the fact that God took Jesus from when He lived on earth, and that he'll come back.
Okay.
And there's really not a lot of detail.
Right.
So the details that you will hear from your Muslim friend will differ from one to another, but there definitely is an understanding that Jesus will return, Muhammad will return, and in that sequence of events, peace will come on the earth. There'll be unity there's never been before. The end of evil will come in order as the events happen. But the details are different.
Now, What is? Your answer is going to be it varies. But what is the Muslim view of creation? It varies.
Yes. Traditionally, they've been very, very strong, just like Adventists would be.
Right.
There's a sixth day. There's God created everything, and that's still there. But you will find some Muslims who see in the Quran the ability, just like some Christians see in the Bible, the ability, they think, to allow God to be a creator, but evolution processes to happen.
Yeah.
So you will find that within Islam. But I think most of your friends, Adventist friends in their neighborhood, will discover that their spiritual Muslim friends will be going the line, hey, God's the creator, God created me.
Right.
I didn't come from who knows what in the past.
Lester, for our viewers who would like to find out more information about the center, how can they find that?
Okay, probably the easiest direct way right now is through the Adventist Mission website, just by going to islam.adventistmission.org.
Fantastic.
And we have material to help them know the basic beliefs and how to show friendship. Yeah.
Lester, thank you so much for sharing with us. And as Dr. Merklin pointed out, you can just go to islam.adventistmission.org, and there you'll find different resources to help you better understand your Muslim brothers, your neighbors, and that you can understand them better. I'd like to welcome Yali Simon, who is the producer of Global Mission Snapshots and a colleague in the Office of Adventist Mission. Thank you, Yali, for coming from behind the camera to share with us. Now, in your work, you get to see a lot of mission activity on the front lines. And
that's right.
And not so long ago, you traveled to the country of Nigeria. And describe for us what it was like to go to Lagos, that huge growing city.
So we left the US and we landed in Lagos. It's an amazing big city. I myself come from a big city, São Paulo. There's almost 20 million people there. And in Lagos, the same way, there's 21 million people. The only difference is when you fly over São Paulo, you get to see all these tall buildings.
Yeah.
It's a nice sight, takes a little bit to get to the city. And when you get down, you don't see that many people because they're all in buildings and different places. When you get to Lagos, the city is sort of flat. There's very few tall buildings. You get to see a lot of people. It's a very lively place there.
21 million people, and all of them are out on the streets. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a sight. It's very, very impressive. In 2014, actually, the country of Nigeria turns 100 years. Two British territories were brought together in 1914, and at that same time, Pastor David Caldwell Babcock, he was sent as a missionary to the country of Nigeria. And what he did there is he started a school.
So he was the first Adventist missionary?
The first Adventist missionary to be officially sent to Nigeria. And he started a school. He started teaching people, teaching them the Bible, teaching them lessons that they could use in daily life. English might have been one of the things that he taught there, or I don't know what, but he started up by teaching people. At the end of the year, they already had some baptisms, and that continued. And he pretty much established a school there. And from the time where he arrived in 1914 all the way to 1998, they were teaching people. And what's special about 1998 is that that year, the church came together and a special offering was taken for that institution. What they needed then was funds to make it larger, to put one more building there so that that school would receive the title of university.
Okay.
The government would grant them that title. And they didn't have the money. They had raised some, but the church came together and they gave a special offering through the 13th Sabbath offering. And they were able to get just enough funds to raise the left wing of their tech building, which is the tech building at this time in the science building. And that's how the school started. They started with about, once they got the university title, they had about 1,000 students, and now they have 8,000+ students at the university.
Wow. Now, I just want to back up. You mentioned 13 Sabbath offerings that were a pivotal moment because they helped fund this, which got the change. What is a 13 Sabbath offering?
The 13th Sabbath offering is where people can bring their extraordinary offering. It's where people get to help specific projects that your church has selected. It's one of those places where you can always put your money with safety and say, we know the church is going to invest really well in this area. There's a lot of criteria that goes through improving those projects. They go to things like missionary boats, schools like the one we're talking about, health institutions, pioneers, churches. There's a number of different things that 13th Sabbath offering sponsors.
Yeah, so that's collected in Adventist churches every 13th Sabbath, and people can also go online at adventistmission.org and they can give that offering there.
That's right, so
Yeah.
they can do it at any time. They don't have to wait for the 13th Sabbath.
Yeah, now sorry for interrupting, but so the Babcock University now grown to more than 8,000.
8,000 students, can you believe it? People
Yeah.
came together, donated, and wow, something huge happened. I got to visit with two people there. One was Luke Onohu. He's the vice president for finance, and he's the one that got to show me around and tell us the story, that impressive story. And then he brought us to one of the students, Mikel. He's the leader of the student association body. And when he came to the university, he was not an Adventist. So he came, and he was very impressed with the way things were run and with the way that the professors taught each class and how they connected, biblical principle with even math and history and other things that they studied. Everything was, from the perspective of the Bible. And he was very impressed with that, and he gave his life to God, and he got baptized. And so now he's one more positive influence on new students that come in.
Wow, fantastic. Now, what sort of subjects do they teach at the university?
Oh, they have quite a wide range of options. They have nursing, medical school, business, law, theology, and probably a few others that I can't remember at the moment.
And I think that many of the leaders of the government had been trained at Babcock, so it has
That's
quite an
right.
influence.
Some years ago, he's not the president anymore, but the son of the president attended Babcock University.
Yeah.
So you know the level of education that they're
Yeah.
providing.
Now they're expanding the reach of the university as well. Tell us about that.
They're expanding. Babcock, when you visit, you think it's a whole city in itself. It's that big. There's many buildings all over. And what they're doing now is moving the school to different places with satellite campuses. So even more people have a chance to go to school, to get an education, to be a benefit to their families, to their country,
I was going to ask you that. What role does education play in Africa?
Education is very important anywhere. And from what Babcock does in educating the many people of Nigeria, you can only imagine what the benefit is to the country and how the country values that university.
Yeah. So is it 100% Seventh-day Adventist students?
No, that's the thing that I found very interesting, even in visiting other educational institutions in West Africa, in that region. Some schools, most of the students are not Adventists. And in Babcock, there's a great number of students that are not Adventists. In Babcock, though, what stood out to me is I don't know exactly the number, but it's almost a third of the students that come there at the end, when they leave, they make a decision for the Lord.
Yeah.
And that's very encouraging to hear.
Because it's a place where they get to mingle with Adventists to learn about the church, and it becomes a missionary endeavor.
That's right.
So, Yali, Lee, what was the main impression that Babcock University left on you?
The main impression for me was that the church came together, and with something simple in the beginning, it probably wasn't very little money that people came together to give, and that set up such a big institution.
Big impact.
That's making an impact, not just in Nigeria, but all of that region. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Education works.
Good. Yali, thanks so much for sharing with us. Viewers at home, if you want to find out more about Adventist mission, including educational institutions, just go to our website at adventistmission.org. You'll find pictures, stories, videos, everything you need to find out.
Here in the heart of China, here in the heart of this city, is a small Seventh-day Adventist church. Just 10 years ago, there was no Adventist church. there were no Seventh-day Adventists. That's when Mrs. Fawn came to the city as a church planter to start a new group of believers. Mrs. Fawn tells how she was looking for a place to stay when she first came to the city. Someone sent her to Popo Dow. Popo, or Grandma Dow, had a room that Mrs. Fawn could rent. Before long, Mrs. Fawn had a small group studying the Bible, and Popo Dow was one of them. As they studied, she gave her heart to Jesus and joined the fledgling church. She let them build a small church on her family's property, but her husband wasn't ready to sign over the land. Mrs. Fawn tells how one day she was walking down the street when she saw that there had been an accident. When she got closer, she saw Popo Dow lying on the street in a pool of blood. They rushed her to the hospital, where the doctors said she wasn't going to make it through the night. So the church members held an all-night prayer vigil for Popo Dow. They cared about Popo Dow, but they also knew that if anything happened to her, they might lose their church. Popo Dow got well, and when she did, she and her husband signed over the land to the church. Today, Popo Dow is 79 and still worshiping in the church she helped build. And Sister Fawn, she went on to plant other churches in other areas. If you would like to learn more about how you can help plant new churches in unentered areas, visit globalmission.org.
If you enjoyed those images of mission, I know that you'll want a copy of the new Adventist Mission Calendar. This beautiful calendar will keep the people and places of mission in front of you each day of the year. So if you live in North America, please accept this free gift as a small thanks for your prayers and support. Just call toll-free 1-800-648-5824 or visit our website and ask for the Adventist Mission Calendar or offer number 305. Don't forget to mention the calendar or offer 305, and our website is adventistmission.org. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's program. Thank you again for your continuing support of Adventist Mission through your prayers, personal involvement, and your finances. As we close, I hope you'll find inspiration for mission in this music video, and may you find peace in Jesus today. For Adventist Mission, I'm Gary Krause, and I hope you can join us next time right here on Global Mission Snapshots.
El mundo corre en busca de sucesos, en tanto existen guerras sin dolor. El hombre sueña con fama y progreso, mas deja así su marcha para atrás. Solo en Dios existe gloria verdadera. Él puede a la vida dar valor. Es Él quien nos promete un mundo nuevo, sin miedo, sin tristeza, sin rencor.
La gloria de esta tierra es pasajera, la vida pasa y todo queda atrás. No temo el futuro, pues tengo a Dios conmigo.
tu camino al Señor. Confía en Él y lo demás se añadirá.